Okay, so now that we have a file that connects to our database, now we can easily create our sign up page. So let's dive in and see what actually a sign up page involves. So to start this, we have to go back to our folder. Actually, what we need to do is create a new folder in here where we're going to be putting our classes for better organization. So I'll call this folder classes. And then I'm going to close this file here so that I can move it. I'll move connect into classes so that all the classes, because we're going to be creating a lot of classes, so we'll move it there. And then let's open sign up and drop it there. So this is the sign up page that we created many videos ago. And now it's time for it to actually have some PHP and some substance. So this is the page in HTML. Now what happens here is if I click this button, it's supposed to reload to try and see what data I have entered. Now since it's not doing that, the reason is simple. It's an HTML reason. So if I go down here where it says where these inputs start from, in order to get this data, I have to add what is called a form. So if I go down here, let me zoom in a bit, I can type the word form. So this is HTML now. This is the opening form tag and this is the closing form tag. So what I need to do is put all these items inside a form. So let me move this down here. So everything is inside the form, and let me select all of it and hit the tab key. That way it's nice and neat. So opening form, now it's important to specify the method. Now there are two methods that information is transferred from one page to another in PHP. Now the first one, let me write method here is equal to. The first one is called the get method, which we're going to learn a bit later. In this one, we're using the post method. Okay. And then there's one more called action, this one property called action. Now this one is going to tell us which page we are sending our information to. Now we are sending to the same page here, which is the signup.php. Now, if you're sending to the same page, you can omit this action. Now, why I've put it here is because sometimes you might need to redirect to another page. So this is where you put the name of the page. Now, since we are not directing to any page, we just leave it empty like this so that this same page is refreshed. So if I go back now and refresh the page, now one important thing also, here I have to make sure that I've typed localhost, otherwise it will not work. So I'll say localhost because I need my PHP to actually work. But even before I do that, if I refresh the page, if I click now, you see it refreshes when I hit the sign up button because it loads the page again. This is what we wanted. However, if I go up here above the HTML, I want to add some PHP at the top here. I'll do this and then close it here. Okay, so opening PHP tag, closing PHP tag. So the PHP will know just to process this data up to here. Now make sure when you're putting the PHP tag, it's at the very beginning here. No spaces there left. Now, if I just open this file in here like this, ooh, I'm actually not seeing the PHP. I thought I would actually see those. Okay, let me type something like echo here just to see what will happen, and then let me refresh the page. Oh, It's actually running without putting localhost there. Interesting. But just for in case your version doesn't work, so just copy that localhost and come into the browser here, replace htdocs and the rest of it with okay, I went to somewhere, I say localhosts, so localhost /mybook/signup. Okay, so that's the sign up page. So we have it echoing there, echo here. So our PHP is actually working. All right, so what we need to know now is how do we get the data from the user that the user has sent. Now, interestingly enough, PHP has a variable called post, which captures whatever a user has posted in a form for as long as they specify that the method is post. Now this variable is like this. Now normally when we are typing variables, we type them like this, right? But there's a variable that is created by PHP. It starts with an underscore like that and then post. So this is a variable created automatically by PHP and it contains all the data that comes from a posting of a user. So as long as there's a form somewhere and the method of that form is post, then you can count on this variable to contain that data. So let's check and see if it actually has that data. So let's use print r as usual and go up here and close it. Now, as you know, I like to use pre-tags. So let me use the pre-tag when checking out arrays because they look so much better. So let me echo these HTML pre-tags like so. So if I just open this right now and just say, well, you see that the array, it's an array and it's empty. The post array is empty. But if I hit sign up, okay, so again, it's empty. Now the reason it's empty is because if we go down here, each of these inputs requires to have a name so that it can be used in the array. So let's put names for these things. So input here, we just go here where it says type. You can put this anywhere among these parameters. So I'll just put it at the beginning here. Let me leave a space and say name is equal to. So this one is first name. So I'll just name it the same thing like that. So I'm giving each of these a name so that we can access them. So this one is last name. So this is on the inputs. Also on the select, I can give this select a name. This one is gender. And then I can come back here. This is another input. Let me select multiple like this. The submit button doesn't require a name because we don't need its data. Okay, so name. Now in this one, it's email. This one is password 1, and this one is password 2. So I don't want to use password 1 here. I just want to use password like that. Simplicity. So password and password 2. So if now I refresh the page and then hit sign up, I'm going to see this now. So an array has been created with first name, last name, the same names I have used there. And the only one that has a value is the gender because it has a value no matter what. So if I type something here, and then hit submit, and you see now that there's information there and there and there. So the first thing we need to do is to be able to check if the user has actually added some items here, because some users will simply come and hit sign up even though they haven't added anything here. So we need to be able to check to make sure that something has been added to the content here in order to for us to use it. Now, in the fashion of using classes, we are going to need to create a class. Okay, now one more thing before we do that. Now that class we're going to create is going to handle the checking to see if a user has actually typed in the correct data. All right, so to start with here, before we go that far, we need one more thing here. If you notice, once I refresh the page, no matter what I have done, it shows me what's contained in post. Now I only want it to show me this after I hit the sign up button, okay, not before. So there's a way to check if someone has hit the sign up button. We can simply check if post contains some items there. If it's not empty, then we might know. However, there's a better method. We're going to put an if statement and say if. Now there's a variable called server that comes with PHP. So it's $_server. Just like post, it starts with an underscore. And then it's an array. So we'll get a value from an array. Now instead of 1 or 2 or 3, it contains an array that the keys, instead of being numbers, they're actually words. So we'll put single inverted comma, and one of those is called request method. Okay, so we are checking if the request method is equal to, inverted commas again, is equal to post. Now why am I using this? Now before I do this, so that you understand what's actually going on here, why I've chosen server request method is because if you get this variable called server, let me copy it and put it inside here where post. So instead of us checking for post, let's check what's inside server. So server comes with PHP. So let's go up here and then let's refresh our page. So what you're looking at here is the information contained by server. It's contained from the get-go. So this is information about the server. So for example, the request time, when was this page requested? Now the thing we're looking for most is this one here called request method. Where is it? Request method here. So you see it's equal to get at this moment. So it shows my IP address. This is the server IP address, what PHP version I'm running, what is the server name, and so on. So this is all information about our server. So the server also knows what method was used, whether it's a get or a post. So if you watch now, if I hit this button, boom, since now I've posted something, the method has changed to post. So we are using this request method because I've noticed that it changes from get to post when I click the post button. That's why we're actually using it. So if the server request method is equal to post, then we can check what's inside the post variable to see what the person has posted. So if we use this, we can refresh the page and you see there's nothing there because we haven't hit the post button. If we refresh it again, nothing. But the moment I hit the sign up button, then I get to see the information. So this is exactly what I wanted. Now, the first thing we're going to create is a class that evaluates the data that has come from the user to make sure that it's viable before we put it in a database, because we don't want to be putting empty values in the database. When we ask a user for a first name, we want them to add the first name, last name, and so on. And even on email, we have to find a way to make sure that it's actually an email they've given us and not just some random text. Okay, so we'll do that in the next video.